And here we are, spawning in the top left-hand corner, or I should just say on the left side of Abyssal City. The blue Protoss player representing Team Fnatic, it is Oz. And his opponent over here on the right side, rocking the barcode, Johan Lucchesi. I think I'm saying that right.
I would imagine
Close enough.
So. How else would you say it?
Somewhere Moro is screaming right now.
And tweeting about it.
Yep, definitely.
Stop bashing on Naniwa.
Sorry, Moro, I just said his name wrong. It's Naniwa as the red Protoss over here on the right side. Both these guys have ferocious PvP. I think Naniwa, especially recently, has looked better than he has ever looked. I've been so impressed with his games, both in the NASL over at MLG this past weekend. And I'm looking so forward to seeing him play more great StarCraft. He is on fire right now, and I do think that you could probably make an argument, maybe not for his recent results, but if you look at his recent games, I think Naniwa might be once again in that sort of top corner form.
I think, Ben, you hit the nail on the head. It's not the results, it's the games. A lot of people criticized even Naniwa's results back when he was placing in GSL top 8. People were saying, well, you know, Naniwa, he's been getting lucky in his builds. He's been getting favorable matchups. He's getting away with playing greedy, and that's where MVP punished him the most, and that's why everyone said, you know, Naniwa, his play, he's winning games, but his play isn't stable. And when Naniwa finally even came out and said, I realize I'm not even playing that great of a style, I need to change it up myself, that's when I feel like Naniwa turned a huge corner. He's giving great interviews. He's conducting himself way better in terms of his mentality as well as his play. I think Naniwa in 2013, even coming to the close of this year, is going to be looking extremely scary.
I think that's pretty well said there, Dan. We've got similar openings from each of these guys, also both opting for the early Zealot, which is telling. We often see players going for the fast Stalker builds. My personal favorite Stalker opening. Naniwa is already proxying a pylon in a really weird position.
Oh my, and Oz actually went for an extremely quick gate and cybernetics core and saved up so much chrono boost. I feel like he's just going to 3-gate and really pressure Naniwa incredibly since he did delay his gas. At the same time, so is Naniwa. Yeah, he's delaying his second gas.
Proxy, what is this going to be?
I don't know. I really haven't seen this build.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's going to be like a proxy Robo or maybe even a proxy Stargate, but he doesn't have the gas for something like that.
Maybe just hides his gateways and looks like he's doing, I don't know. I'm actually really curious myself. Is Naniwa going to 1-gate expand?
He's saving up a lot of money.
No, he's going to drop 3 gateways somewhere. He has to drop more gateways. He can't hold this off. I'm saying he needs to drop at least 3 gateways to hold this off.
Does he even have a sentry right now? He doesn't have a sentry. He's not building a sentry. And it's not panic time yet because he has, you know, kind of even.
I think Oz has a very clear build order win. I think from here, it's like, how is he going to hold off 3 gates? He only has 1, and Naniwa wants to go for a proxy Robo, but Oz went for a super early gate. And this is what we're talking about. Oz loves being super aggressive early on. He's got 2 pylons that Naniwa can't even answer. He can't deal with this in time. The Warpin's going to come in.
Yep, here comes that big Warpin any second now. As maybe Oz wants to make it up on the high ground. Here comes the Stalker, and that is exactly what we're going to see. 3 Stalkers warped in up at the top of that ramp. Naniwa does not have the gates, and he's in big trouble going for the risky build on Abyssal City, and it might not be to his favor. Gateways do finish. Warp gate is happening.
He is getting some nice hits off the Stalkers and does need to warp in those Stalkers or transform those gateways as soon as possible. But Naniwa, he does have a Robo that's sitting, basically sitting resources. He can't utilize it whatsoever. Now also going to work onto the probe count, warping in some units to trap it at the same time. Oz does also have another warp in ready if he wanted to, but he can't warp up on the high ground because he doesn't have vision. Naniwa does manage to deal with most of this, and a lot of probes have died. Both players even in supply, but Ben, what's the damage report?
Well, Nani cleans it up with some serious damage taken, lost 5 workers. He comes out of it at a pretty real disadvantage, 16 probes to 22. Oz is going to continue warping in Zealots, but I think Naniwa is now at a place where he can defend.
Ooh, nice warp in on the simulators.
Fantastic warp in, blocks that 1 Zealot, buys Nani the time he needs to answer to that. And he's going to be all right here. And now my question becomes, are we going to see some sort of craziness with a Warp Prism? I don't really think we can, though, because Oz's units, and he's going to be able to keep up with the warp-in cycles.
But Oz did get probed out this entire time. And that's what the whole 3-gate pressure is designed to do. Get yourself way ahead, and you can transition into your own thing, depending on how you want to take it. But Naniwa has an incredible amount of gateways. He's got 4. And he has a robo that hasn't been scouted, so Oz may be feeling like he's way far ahead than he actually is. Sentries don't actually do anything against a Warp Prism.
That is true. Warp Prism is completed, and Naniwa is crossing the map right now. Oz has no presence on the map. He does not know what he's playing against. He seems to have some pretty sick gamer senses, though. Look at his positioning right now. Is he anticipating this robo? Has he seen it?
I don't know. Maybe he's... I don't know.
Why would he be positioned here instead of at his ramp? There's no reason for him to be back here. Oz, how do you know? Unbelievably, he's going to pick off this Warp Prism before it's able to warp in. And he's, actually, no, Naniwa does slide past, and he will get the warp in up on the high ground. Stalker's going to come walking right up into the main base. Zealots will hack away at a couple of probes, but I do feel like Oz is more than enough to ultimately to deal with this.
I am so confused how Oz knew that was going to happen. That was the sickest sixth sense I've seen in such a long time. Even the Warp Prism drops, and Naniwa, he looked like he was in a position to be able to pressure Oz beautifully, but instead he is very far behind. Naniwa getting his second gas finally. He was making a Twilight Council, but he canceled it. He's going for double Stargate. Whoa.
That's crazy as well.
I have no idea what's going on.
I don't understand.
I mean, obviously Stargate is good against Robo, but how does he sustain double Stargate off of just 2 gases without expanding? I feel like Naniwa is going. I mean, at the same time, I can understand where he's coming from because he can't just play from behind. He can't just try to make robo units and then play Blink against a person that's have this strong of an economy and a person that's this much of an advantage army-wise. So maybe, just maybe, Naniwa is trying to swing for the fences, and something might happen here, Ben. But it's going to be a long climb up the hill.
Oz's observer does finally spot the robotics of Naniwa, so he might not have been sure of it before, but now he knows exactly where it is and what it's up to. You know, I wonder, Dan, Oz's aggression, it was 3-gate pressure. He got there, he saw that the gateways weren't done yet. I mean, is that enough for him to just assume there's a robo-proxy somewhere?
Actually, that's a great point, Ben. I didn't even really think about that. I think you're right in a sense. It says there's no way 4 gates are not done by now, especially since Naniwa did wait for a very long time for that robotics to finish off of 1 gas. I think Oz says there's something a little bit too suspicious. There has to be something coming in. And Oz made one of the sickest calls I've seen in such a long time, especially in this matchup. And Oz truly proving that if you can have understanding of the matchup, it really does come down to skill. And it's sort of like Rain. You know, Rain doesn't necessarily have the best units to defend against pushes from Zerg or Terran, but he's always in the right spot. And no matter what you do, you can't break him. And Oz has a big advantage because of it.
Nani's going to try to use his Phoenixes to tip the scales here in this next engagement. There's 4 Stalkers and 2 Sentries. That's the only stuff in Oz's army that actually shoots up. And here we go. Sentries lifted immediately. Now Stalkers will be lifted. Can Naniwa muster enough units to actually hold here? It's looking kind of close.
He's working on the Stalkers at a very nice pace. Oh my goodness, Naniwa doesn't have any more energy after this 1 lift, though. He will be able to deal with the Stalkers, but he doesn't really have... Oh, he does have 1 more energy for lift, but Oz can keep warping in, and the energy, or the Phoenixes need time to be able to do anything. Oz even brought a Warp Prism to also warp in for some reinforcement, but Oz just has way too much stuff. If Naniwa was given a little bit more time, maybe something could have happened. This is really cool to see Naniwa. Imagine if he was given another minute. I think he would have held very nicely, but because of it, he's not able to do anything. GG, and Oz takes game number 1. What an interesting build. I would have loved to see it actually pan out a little bit more.
Crazy game. Interesting play on both sides of the map.
To go double Stargate when you see a robo. Yeah. Like we've seen double Stargate before.
You know, it makes sense now. Elfie, the god of Protoss. Naniwa has been playing well, so he's been saying his prayers. And now it's coming through in the build orders.
For those of you who don't know, Ben's working on a very poetic a piece of literature that he'll release eventually about Elfie. I think it's awesome. It's one of the funniest moments.
The StarCraft Bible.
He's gonna add it to Chobo Peon's collection. He actually does have a StarCraft Bible of like explaining everything. In there needs to be a new chapter called
his is like
Dedication
explaining
to the God of
the
Protons.
meta. Mine is like the Holy Book, and you know all the.
I need to pray to Elfie a little bit more often because I think I'm searching for answers in PvP as well. That game was brought to you by iBuyPower for everything you need in terms of assembled PCs, laptops, and more. Go to iBuyPower.com. When we come back, game number 2 between Oz and Naniwa, we'll find out what happens between this top foreigner and top Protoss player from Korea right after this.